how our rating system works and that you kind of have an idea of what's going to happen today. Yeah? Yeah. Where's your talk?
It's somewhere in our
There.
The very first time we did the first Munich Science Slam, half the audience thought that E was the best score you could have. It's a big letter, it's way after A. Half the audience thought that A was the best score because it's an A, you know, it's great. And so our first speaker, unfortunately, was very divided. We were able to kind of sort out some of it, but this way you can put all of your confusion onto me, and you can get some practice. And if you really want to give someone a really bad grade today, do it to me. Do it. It's okay. I can take it. Okay. Today, this talk is going to be about the Science Slam. I'm going to explain how the scoring system works, why the scoring system works this way, and what the inspiration is behind it. We are really passionate about learning about science communication because we see it as part of science, as part of doing science in the first place. When you are forced to think about what you want to express to someone, you're taking all of your experiences together and you're connecting with someone else. And they're giving you feedback as well. My high school teacher used to tell me that the difference between a Nobel Prize winning scientist and someone working out of his garage is that the Nobel Prize winner published something. He shared with someone, he presented with something. If you stay in your garage, you're not part of it. You're not part of the community. You're learning, but it's great. At the Science Slam, we're emphasizing the audience, the people listening, as part of the talks. This is why. I just completed my PhD, and when I was doing this, one mode of how knowledge exists was kind of impressed upon. That there's a bunch of knowledge that exists, and at the end of my PhD, after 5.5 years of work, I would be able to add this part right there. You've all seen this, right? There's a lot of scientists, there's a huge body of work, you work very hard, but in the end it's only a little bit. And I feel now that actually that was a really wrong way for me to think about it. Instead, I should have been thinking about knowledge like this. That there is a lot of facts that are connected together, but by connecting things that no one had connected before, we could put a new picture together from the existing knowledge. One piece of information could have a huge impact and not just be a drop in the bucket. The way we make impact is through communication. We talk to people who come with their experiences, and we look to see what kinds of connections they can make. When they tell us that they learned something new, or they generate information that they didn't have before, we've made an impact. We know that talks are very entertaining. Ted's demonstrated that not only scientists, but everyone in the world loves to hear about what people are doing. We know that Munich loves to hear what people are doing. This is the Soapbox Science event. It was held at the Odensplatz last summer, and it was wonderful. So many people came to hear the scientists and what they were doing, and it was just a really fun day. We know that Science Slam participants love to come to Science Slams. They take time out of their day to hear science talks, and we know that scientists are spending a lot of their vacation time walking around and talking to people about science. Talking is happening all the time. So the question comes down, what makes a great science talk? And every time we do the Science Slam, we have that conversation again. We say, all right, what is a good talk? And how can we kind of practice that as part of the Science Slam and get everyone talking about what the nature of a good talk is? If we can figure out even just a little bit more today, everything that we do after this will be better. The model we're working with at this Science Slam is that good talks have 4 components. They are consistent with the knowledge that you came with, so that you can find a way to slot the things that people are teaching you into your current body of knowledge. They're also consistent with the logic of their argument. They're not just saying a bunch of random things. They all come together in one bigger picture. They're novel. They're not just saying things you've heard before in the same way you've heard them before. They're taking them and putting a new image onto them so that you see the world in a different way. They're also persuasive. If at the end of the talk you're going, yeah, that's right. They have persuaded you that this perspective on the world is a valid one. It's an interesting one, and you've left feeling something more. But most importantly, it has to be engaging. They can make the best argument, the best story, but if you don't feel connected, and more importantly, if you don't add to the story by asking questions to yourself and discussing back to the speaker after, whenever you can, or to your neighbor, you're not going to walk away with a changed world. The best talks have all these 4 components. What that means is that good talks are just as much about the speaker as they are about the person listening to the talk. All right? So how do we do that at a science slam like this? How do we do it where one person's standing up and they're talking back to the next person? Well, we put on a science slam, and then we have 2 types of talks. First, we have people talking about how they see the world, about what they want to do, about what they've done. And then we have the audience as a whole. Everyone gives feedback. Was it consistent? Was it novel? All these things. And then we have someone come up and talk about how their world changed. What was this about? Was it consistent? If they can tell us what it was about, it must have been consistent. Did they learn something? If it was novel, if it was persuasive, then they must have learned something. And what did they love? What was something that really engaged them? Those are the 3 components of every one of these improv talks. And I hope you'll participate. It can be a lot of fun. And it's something that maybe you don't do very often. This is the same way we're going to rate all the talks. At the end of every talk, there'll be 4 questions. How consistent, novel, persuasive, and engaging was it? At the end of the Science Slam, the highest scoring speakers will be those that rated the best out of 3 parts. One is how generally complete was their story. We equally weight those consistently novel and persuasive scores. How engaging it is. Engagement is so important, we made it 1/3 of the total score. And finally, how complete was the story of the person summarizing your talk? That's right, your talk will influence the final score of the speakers up here. All right? So be engaged. Think about the structure that they're saying. Don't just detach. And after you've listened to the talks, practice it. We have drinks here. We have people here. Let's talk. Let's talk about science. Let's talk about the talks. Let's have some fun. Thank you very much. I hope you're ready. You're primed. And now you're ready to score this talk. I'm going to go over there, be operating the tweetback system. Looking forward to seeing your response.